coming in. Just talking to you. Just talking to you, seeing what we going on. Hope y'all doing good. I don't celebrate no holidays, so before you come at me, so you don't get it misconstrued. Not celebrating anything, just partaking. And today, generally speaking, depends on where you are in the world. Um, I think every day should be a thankful day. So I don't think one day, you know. So we're gonna just come on here. Gonna be on for like an hour today, cause I'm not gonna be here till probably maybe Sunday. So it's probably gonna be once or twice out the week that you get me on here. So just so you know. Okay, let's get this thing going real quick. I'm not gonna answer that question because I don't even know what that pertains to, and I don't know who you are. What's happening? How you doing? Thank you for coming through. And for the record, no, I don't celebrate nothing. So that's just so you know. It's not really part of what I do. But I did have a vegan meal, but I don't take part in none like, you know. But for those that do, more power to you, you know. It's just not something that I do though. Interesting. Tell me, how's it interesting? How's it interesting? I want to know. I like to hear how it's interesting. Yeah, well, you gone from this channel, so there you go. Dallas ain't making the playoffs. You can kiss that goodbye. They got to win out. They got to play Detroit. And if they lose another game, they can't afford to lose another game. Yeah. Um, they're not making the playoffs. You they not a good team. You see, the years when their defense was playing good, Dak didn't play like this. They're 2-2. And remember how they had to come back against Philly. You can't do that every week. You can't do that every week. They got all the makings of a 500 team. And already, and tell me something I didn't know. Tell me something I didn't know. You think you're gonna say something that's gonna hurt my feelings? We went and got Brandon Cook. That tells you all you need to know right there. If this was 10 years ago and Snapchat had just came on, we made a deal. We got Brandon Cook 12 years later. Snapchat is what? Is considered a third tier app now? Come on now. You're not saying nothing I don't know. You think you're gonna try to get over on me to try to make me feel bad because I put down the Cowboys when the Cowboys have underachieved. Dak Prescott's got all them stats, but they're not a legit team. No one takes them serious. Guess it's Matthew Stafford. At first, I was kind of thinking Jonathan Taylor, but they kind of didn't fade it. But I think Matthew Stafford. And I'm gonna be real with you. The Rams might be them or Seattle's the best two teams in the NFC. And see, let me get something straight to you real quick. Let me get this camera on. If you're not in that argument with MVP in the first two tiers, you really don't matter. And Dallas doesn't matter because they're not in the Rams or Seattle's tier level. So what you gonna do? You can't beat neither one of those teams at in their backyard. You're not on that level. So I don't even know what Philadelphia is. It's very tough. You got three teams. So unless you one of them three teams, I ain't sweating you. Philadelphia aside, they're not fine. The way they lost to Houston is not fine. You can't give up no 8 sacks. You can't be inconsistent like they are. If only it was just like that. He's not no milk carton. He's the best running back going today, and he'll be in the top 2 to 3 for MVP this year. What the heck you talking about? The guy's an MVP candidate. It's just that Daniel Jones is Daniel Jones, and they have some immature issues, and they also play in a division which nobody takes serious. I don't know how good they really are. I don't know. I don't know. I know who he is. I know exactly who he is. Shaquan. Oh, Shaquan. Oh, my fault, Barbara. I'm not talking about Shaquan. I'm talking about Jonathan Taylor. I'm not talking about Shaquan. Bad as he's playing this year, they still a top 14. Um, and they still a dangerous team. I wouldn't. I'm gonna say Jonathan Taylor was in MVP consideration. Shaquan is still dangerous. All they gotta do is get in the playoffs and he get going. And AJ Brown too. So I wouldn't exactly be crying and saying Philly can't do it because remember, they're the kind of team that this is where they get dangerous. Big game against Chicago. We'll see. Whoever wins that game out of them and the Bears, that'll probably be the second or third best team, and that could be a problem. I think it's because he had a lot of momentum. Does he got a Super Bowl ring? Did he come up big last year? He should have been MVP last year. Does he first of all, they got the ring. So it don't matter what he do this year. They got the ring. They made that even if it's a once or an outer body, bless his soul, he did what he's supposed to do. He ain't owe nobody nothing. He owe nobody nothing. He got the ring. What happened to the Giants? Did their coach get fired? So that's all you need to know. The man let a ring go out the door and a quarterback that was looking pretty good this year. So I don't really have anything to say against Shaquan or Daniel Jones. You know, I think it's just that they're waiting for the playoffs. I think they're probably bored, and I think it's just a matter of time. Because you got to remember something. Even though they lost to Dallas, he still got like a 2.5, 3 game lead. So all they gotta do is win a couple games. That's all. Well, that's a good question. I'm gonna tell you what I think. They want it to be CeeDee Lamb, but Pickens is the one that's gonna make Dak look good. But they want Lamb to be the man. They want Lamb to be the man. So if you say that with me 3 times, there you go. They want Lamb to be the man. But Pickens might be a better fit though. So, you know, that's how I read it. And if he, if he I don't know, again, a lot of work has to go in down. I think they'll be better next year. But it was setting themselves up for fool's gold if they try to even make the playoffs this year. Come back next year, I think you'll have because Dak's in the last of his home. He's in his last of his stretch. It's a big game for both teams. It's a big game because for Green Bay they need to make a statement against a legit team, and the Lions they need a game where they don't look like they were on the ropes against the Giants, so they got to make a statement. It's a must game for both in different ways. It's a character game for Green Bay, and it's a kind of game for Detroit that hey, we looked like we were a Super Bowl bound a couple years ago, and we got arguably the best running back. That was top tier quarterback. Are we gimmicky or are we gonna be all right? So that's a biggie. You know, I think for Detroit, you go on a nice little hot win streak, you could be a problem. I think for Green Bay, you win this game, you're in the catbird seat. So we'll see. Keep on hitting those likes up. Keep hitting the votes up. We'll see. Do you celebrate holidays? 57% say no, they do not. Yeah, I understand that. All right. Glad I got rid of some of those trolls that weren't here earlier. I don't understand what goes on. People come on here to be trolling on the day. They got nothing else better to do. Let's get some comments going because I will be here. I'm planning on being here for just it doesn't matter about Burrow. They got to do next year. That don't make no difference. Too little, too late. It's too little, too late. Baltimore's on the run. Burrow will come back and play, but even if you win your last 4 or 5 games, you're not making the playoffs. You're not making the playoffs. What's happening? How you doing? Not making the playoffs. Diana, you said in the world. You didn't say in pop culture. In the world, she got Madonna beat. Madonna was big as far as music goes, but the world, Diana was vast. I'll make it into a question though for you though, but it's kind of hard. So really do explain because I don't even know what all that means. I'm baffled by that whole hit. So I don't know. That's an interesting take, though. I don't know what that means. Okay, Charlene, if you got another good question, that's a pretty good statement. I had to think about that one for a moment, though. Oh, that's easy. That's Kanye West. I mean, of the two, because Taylor Swift emerged with that. No one really tripped about ODB's part as much as Kanye. Kanye's thing at that was because it was disrespectful. That's after uh, Janet Jackson had performed and given her brother a tribute, and then the whole thing with Taylor Swift. So that that one's not up for discussion. No, 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 no. Why should I? Because he wasn't a more prolific scorer than Durant. He's not a more prolific scorer than Will Chamberlain. Not more prolific scorer than Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Not prolific than Karl Malone or LeBron. Um, no. Harden doesn't belong in that conversation, so stop. 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 Well, Pac's not from Cali, but if I had to pick the anthem that reaped it the best, I would probably say New York. And I like California a little bit better, but I think New York repped it better, though. Not a lot of nothing of that. Well, stay away from a lot of what I call stuffy food. I like sweet potatoes and mash, but it's got to be in increments. I'm not really a big eater no more. And I don't eat the kind of stuff that most people associate with situations. I don't. I like some mac and cheese, but it's very rare. Very rare. Very rare. No, you're not gonna get me to say Wilton, MJ, Harden, and Kobe. That's not gonna fit because one of them names don't belong there. Well, that's not even a fair movie comparison because they two different types of movies. One was dealing with they were dealing with serious topics, but in different ways. I like Strictly Business because it's what I consider the kind of movie that I like the element of what it represents. It tried a few things and it was interesting, but I like it. Jungle Fever was very complex and you had a lot of subtitles going on. I think Spike tried to do too much. I liked it, but he didn't execute everything with it. He tried too much. Some things worked, some didn't. So it was like a two-tone movie. Yeah, we are dumb for coming on here then. So take your butt on out of here. People that are trolling, you're not gonna last on today. I'm not in the mood. Okay. So anybody that comes on here trolling, be prepared to get a process eliminate. I'm sweating you out like flies today. I ain't dealing with it today. You get one time today. Some other days you come on and I might play along with you, but you come on today, you say something wrong, you gone. I ain't in the mood. I don't understand your question because A, they're two different types of actors. B, they have two different hits, and C, what stronger role, what prominent actor? He's finally playing like he's supposed to. And some saying it's because of Glorilla. I've been waiting for him to emerge as the junior whopper Kevin Durant, and he hitting shots. They got talent there. I think that's the team nobody sees coming. He's one of those dudes. Well, that's nothing because Zion should have been. Zion didn't go eat his way out of there. Brandon Ingram has always had the goods. He just didn't play up to it. He needed a little size, and he finally coming to his own. I know his cousin personally, one of his cousins. What you mean, whose career is best? Oh, it's John Travolta. Come on now, Charlotte. Come on now. Come on now. Beetlejuice aside, and maybe what the couple other things. How that's not even up for discussion. You want me to use that as a question in the future, which I will, and it'll be a one-sided affair because Alec Baldwin's peak and prime came and went, and he never was the half of Travolta, not the half. Now, do I think he's a better actor? Maybe overall. You guys an iconic? He ain't touching Travolta. He ain't touching Travolta. Saturday Night Fever, Grease, Urban Cowboy, Carrie. No, no, no. He's not touching him. That's a good one. Let me see. I gotta think about that one. I guess I give a slight edge to Kim Basinger. I did like Kirstie Alley, but Kirstie didn't really. She's one of those kind of people that she didn't quite get all of that other out of her. She was a good actress, but she didn't quite get all the other out of her. Well, but he didn't have a better career than no John Travolta though. That's all. Yeah, I like a lot of people's movies, but when Charlene asked me a question about who had a better career, hey, unless of course you do a movie where you're almost like the ultimate hero and it's something we can't deny, it's got to be like on some Marlon Brando Godfather something that was so potent that but no. Well, if I'm honest, I'll probably tell you the Top Gun made me think about joining the military. So Travolta's winning that. Come on now. You got to do better than that. Caruso's one of those cats that had a good career, and he was playing Elvis, and he had a little bit of a run. Travolta is one of the most iconic actors ever. So stop, okay? Let me help you with your questions, if you don't mind me. If you said Travolta against Tom Cruise for peak, that's a good question. If you mentioned Travolta against Sylvester Stallone, you mentioned him up against who could I think of? Travolta against Will Smith, peak to peak. That's his tier level, not Kurt Russell's, not Alec Baldwin, not people that are second, third tierish who had some. Oh, she left him in the dust. When's the last time Brad Pitt had a movie that anyone cared about? So we do the pretty boy thing. That may give Pitt some run, but he ain't have the impact Travolta had. Uh-uh. Ask Quentin Tarantino. Quentin Tarantino had a whole when they did whatchamacallit. He said, look, he said how big Travolta was. I liked how he had a persona. Let me tell you about being a successful actor. It's in the windows. You had to have charisma, you had to have attitude, you ain't asked me against nobody he couldn't take out. Them ones that you mentioned he can take. There's a lot that you didn't mention he couldn't take. And you got to factor in he had iconic movies. He was on lunch boxes for crying out loud. He was on pressed on t-shirts. He was big before they had all the, you know. See, when I remember people being big just on the I used to see people with the wide collars. Travolta was huge in these streets. I don't think you realize. Maybe you're too young, you didn't get to see it, or someone didn't tell you. Cat was huge. So when I think about that, for his window, Pulp Fiction brought him back. And he had a revival. But his heyday, ask Quentin Tarantino about Travolta's heyday. He got a whole story about it. Brad Pitt ain't in that conversation. Most authentic family role for its time, I would probably say the Jeffersons. I'd say the Jeffersons for me. I like Travolta's old school Travolta. Crisscross did. Bow Wow was like the little kid, but Crisscross came out huge. So I remember, let me tell you a story. I remember when I was working in a restaurant. Shoot, them cats was dressing backwards, and Crisscross had the streets on lock. I remember there was a picture that Jermaine Dupri took with Ty Mottola. They couldn't cash the checks, get the checks to him quick enough. How quick that thing took off. That thing was huge. The record went quadruple. They sold records. They were big for a moment. I mean, it was a novelty, but still, that thing was huge. Bow Wow wasn't like, yeah, pardon me. Bow Wow wasn't like that. He wasn't like that. He had what I call a worker kid. I don't even think he had a little Romeo run, to be honest. It was there. He was on TV and he had some hits, but it wasn't like he was like, you know, no, not at all. Maybe on a sonic synth pad, but I don't see anything that R. Kelly got from him. I don't see anything directly. What would make you say that? SGA. It's SGA's to win or lose. Best player, best team. How am I gonna argue against that? I don't hear nothing about Luca's stats. I don't hear nothing about Luca's stats. Who got the best record? Who's consistent every night? Who plays defense both ends of the court? It's SGA, and it ain't up for discussion. They want it to be Luca and Jokic because it's fashionable, but it's SGA's to win or lose. That team is not even hitting full stride, and they look scary. I already gave you my opinion, so please, I gave you my opinion. I don't even know why that even be up for this. There's nothing remotely about R. Kelly and LB Sure at all. Makes no difference. They're not better than OKC. OKC done already dusted the Lakers off, and they'll dust Denver off. You can be 4 games, 2 games. Albie Sure is not that good of a talent. I like the guy personally. He had a really decent talking voice, and "A Night and Day" was a great song, and he had some impact with Guy and stuff. But he was not that deep. Okay, he's a marginal talent. Okay, and I've never heard anything from R. Kelly that made me think, oh, from him, nothing, nothing. Because the Heat are a decent team, and I know Tyler Hero came back, and I know that Sполz got his 800th win. That doesn't mean anything. Detroit's still playing the best ball. We're decent, but we got to be consistent. And I'm not going to get excited. And it's early in the season. I told you I don't do early. I'll talk basketball with you, but I'll talk more in the past tense or some situations. I don't do early. You know how early get you in trouble? Look, I will say this: OKC's the team to beat, but early will get you in trouble in most other cases. Of those, well, he hit his best with Crisscross financially. Usher and him and Mariah Carey had the best chemistry. The Brad him was like tag team partners. Escape was like one of those acts that just happened to hit. So I'm not on here every day. Sometimes I'm on here, sometimes I'm not. It all depends because I got things I got to do. But I'm here now. Jasmine Sullivan, come on, tweet sound like a bird that's being choked. I never, I never. I'm tweets okay, but I never got the hype. I think Jermaine Dupri's a decent producer, but I think that a lot of it is because it's limited. Say about who? If you talking about the whack Cowboys, are the average. If you talking about the Lakers, they're not a title team. I think the team sucks, and I think Doc Rivers gonna throw and get fired. I got things I got, like I told Charlene, and if you ever follow me, if you really want to stay in touch with me, you should hook me up on Facebook and add me as a friend because I'm not gonna be here every day. I'm gonna be here back on Sundays. Sometimes I'm on here, sometimes I'm not. Then Philly's not a top two team. Stop. Philly's not better than the Rams or Seattle, so stop with that. Don't start the hype. And you had to come all the way back to beat them. Houston is not one of the worst teams. Their defense is legit. Now, if you want to say that their quarterback is third tier, I'll give you that. Houston is a dangerous team. I don't know how they do it. It's like a rabbit shoe. They find a way to beat the Rams, and that's the only reason why the Rams ain't seen as the team that you got to go through right now. Because the Rams lost two heartbreaking games this year. Yeah, despite that, lost that game to Philly and lost that game to the 49ers. Oh, they be undefeated right now. And Matthew Stafford is going to be MVP. He's balling. So you're not on the rise. Stop with that nonsense. Stop with the cap. You beat Kansas City, you gotta go play Detroit a week. You're gonna get your butt beat. One of those games you'll lose. And when you lose and you got your six losses, yeah, next year, come back to me next year. You're not doing anything this year. You lost to Chicago, you lost to Carolina, and they're not even top two teams. So you don't have a snowball chance. Yeah, I'm not gonna say nothing because I'm not. Kansas City is kind of sporadic, and again, I don't know. I'll type it in. 1x2, by the way. And Muhammad's the last name. So just 1x. Ask Charlene. No, Eli, if you gotta ask Eli, he probably not gonna be a Hall of Famer. They're gonna make him wait. He gonna have to wait. Because Matthew Stafford seems like a golden boy who got hooked up. I understand. Y'all not a good team. I'm not giving nobody. Y'all suck. Y'all not a good team. Because Leslie Jones probably scares a lot of dudes. What you expect? Mariah's album sucked. It sounded like Silk Sonic thirds, sloppy thirds. And she seemed like she just kind of grandstanding through the record. He would be if the Colts finished in first and they finish at least second in the AFC. But if they don't, it's going to Matthew Stafford. And you know they give it to quarterbacks all the time, unless he runs for 2K. Yeah, Mariah sounds like she got sloppy second, third, Silk Sonic rejects. Yes, I don't really celebrate the holiday, but I love listening to Donny Hathaway, Wham, Jackson 5. I listen to the music all year long, though. It's not so much about the so-called holidays, it's just I listen to the music. Nat King Cole, yeah, Sinatra, Jackson 5, James Brown, Curtis Blow. Yeah, if the Colts were a little bit better, but I think that if they gotta win at least 12 games, oh, good for him. Yeah, they are. Um, I can understand why he's indifferent to Matthew Stafford. I can understand because think about it. You got to still get an MVP to be considered for Hall of Fame. You got Super Bowl ring. You got all them stats. I can understand, and he was in Detroit. I understand. I used to call him Matthew Stat Patter. So, oh God, listen, I don't can't believe I'm on Cowboy Central here. A letdown. God, not this year, T, but in his prior career when Detroit, he was stat padding. He was considered a stat pattern. Matthew Stafford was a guy that in years past. This year he's playing great. Okay? But there's a reason why Rob Parker don't feel him. And I understand. I used to see him in Detroit. I don't even know why I got to deal with Cowboy fans. I don't know who the worst, Cowboy fans or Laker fans. The delusion is crazy. Y'all wouldn't have a chance against us, especially we played y'all in Buffalo. We tear y'all up. Barry Sanders didn't have no line, had no quarterback. Calvin Johnson had Matthew Stafford, didn't get it done. Do I need to say more? Can't call a receiver or running back a stat pattern because they only get it what they get. But I don't hold Megatron as a top 5 all-time receiver either, so there you go. Well, the Apollo's always going to be number 1 with me, so the other 2 you can keep. I know, but it wasn't his fault. They're 18-1. Get it right. They won last night. And he scored 40. Well, I hope so. I've done a live stream here before, and I've already told you that Shea is the Steph of today, and OKC is the Golden State bigger version. What I like about them boys is they get at you. Their defense is relentless. They got starters and bench cats. They can beat you in many different ways. And they're better than they were a year ago. That's the scary part. So I don't know where that's coming from. I don't know where that's coming from. People bought the record all this time. What do you just make a discovery? I mean, he was on the back of the cover. What's the thing? They had association. I like the music. I don't like the personal result, but I like the music. I don't know where this is coming from. And I'm not even talking about R. Kelly or Leah. I don't even know about James. I don't know. All I know is he should be MVP. I know they got a good chance to win the chip again. And he's the best player going today. That's all I can say. And he's a standard. So that's all I'm going to say with that. You got the makings of a dynasty in OKC. I'm going to tell you like this. They all young in the industry. So what are you going on about? No one comes after Jerry Lee Lewis with his cousin when she was 13 or Elvis with Priscilla and so on. Black man always got to catch all this thing. And I'm not condoning R. Kelly, but at the same time, I didn't bring up R. Kelly in this. I don't know why this all coming up. I like the album. I love back and forth. The music was tight. Her uncle pimped it. And the mama did too. If you don't know the backstory, you need to ask before y'all put stuff out there. Her mama was messing with Kels. The uncle was his manager, Barry Hankerson, and they had him tied up, and there was a lot going on, and they owned the copyright to both. A lot of stuff. Diddy's 50 plus years old, and he doesn't have his greasing formula. That's all. He looks his age. I mean, if some guys gray, some don't. I think the bottom line with Diddy is that he shouldn't be there though. Not for what Trump did and not for what some of these other folks do. And that dude that lied, Santos or whatever his name is, and he got off a line and he did like 3 months and Diddy's got to do what? That don't make no sense. So and I'm not even supporting Diddy. Let me get this straight. Diddy guilty of something, but not for what they put him in there for. I like the album. I don't want to call it great, but I don't consider her super talented. I think she had a certain aura about her. I think she would have been a better actress. She got pimped, okay? Her uncle was a pimp. Her uncle managed Kells, ran her career, owned her masters. The mama was involved with Kelly. And it's a lot of stuff that if you read, you understand. Ain't nothing ever concrete. That industry's got a lot of pieces and layers to it. Well, he talked about the alcohol company. He talked about Sir Rolf. He called them racist, and them folks don't want to hear that. Let me tell you a story. It goes on to this day, okay? What got him in trouble was that I'm gonna tell you like this: you bringing it up, I didn't bring it up. I don't know who makes that comparison. There's some crackheads. There's nothing about Aaliyah made me think of Sade. Nothing except for being light skinned and a forehead. That's it. She probably was. She's worth more gone unalive. You ask questions. Times you can kind of see for yourself. You're worth more into the industry. Look at Michael Jackson. Look at the billions of dollars coming out. Look at Prince. Look at all the money coming out. Look at Whitney Houston. Look at all the money coming out. I mean, do you want me to keep going on? Elvis Presley was the one who made it fashionable to do those sort of things, and then they've been using a blueprint. So come on now. Bob Marley too. Come on now. Tupac, Biggie, come on. And people who were in them labels been eating off of those people since they've been deceased. So come on now. Aaliyah's uncle pimped the whole scene. Okay. That was the bottom line. Bad parents should be locked up too. And what you shouldn't do, what you do is two different things. But let me tell you something. When you're making money and you doing what you're supposed to do, they look the other way. When you start questioning stuff, that's when they come after you. My guess is that R. Kelly asked about his money. He was getting underpaid, and they think, "Well, you dumb, and you should be happy." And the next thing you know, that's why they came with everything on him. And he wasn't selling no more records. They got no more use for him. Just kind of like Diddy. This ain't about no justice. So I wish people would stop thinking all of a sudden, come on, Aaliyah with R. Kelly. Come on now. Beyonce ain't got no back and forth on there. You can play back and forth right now to Crazy in Love. R. Kelly is a better producer. He's a better music maker than Jay-Z. You're saying that, what did I say to that? You won't have that kind of career today. Once upon a time, you would. When you ask a question like that, or who are you referring to? Because I'm going to tell you something. You ain't going to see a cat come along today have a Miles Davis type of career, Michael Jackson type of career, Steve Wonder career, Babyface kind of career, Lionel Richie kind of career. That ain't happening today. Most of these acts today, it's not the same thing. So I don't know what I don't understand that question. It's a different industry. For one thing, cats who had multiple careers had sales and tours and all the other stuff. Today it's a bit different. I think Aaliyah came out with a stronger debut. Age ain't number, the number was huge and at your best. Because there's no respect, because there's nothing put towards it. That's why. And I think that people are treating music kind of like it's like a buffet. Get a little here, get a little bit there. People back in the day used to put time and effort into their craft. They're just not doing it anymore, and it shows. That's the big difference in itself. I will say this: it depends on what the context is with them. But they're not in a situation where we have record stores anymore. You don't have anything that's dedicated to really showing that depth and appreciation. And you're in a disposable era. Well, I'm going to say this. It's the companies that's doing it. It's the record companies that's doing it because they think that you, the public, is stupid and dumb. And they think that you want something that's fast food. And they're not going to let you sit there and process an artist. Used to be you'd have 3 or 4 albums. Now you got 3 or 4 songs. Used to be you had 3 or 4 years. Now you get probably 3 or 4 months if you're lucky. So that's what you're getting. They think that the buying public is dumb, and that's why Jay-Z said, I could be like Talib Kweli, but I'll dump down. He said that in a lyric. It was already destroyed. Trap and drill was after the fact. They trapped and drilled you with nonsense, but when they started putting labels on artists in hip hop, when they started saying gangster rappers and pop rappers and when they start putting when it became white-fied, that's when it got destroyed. Okay? You can put a beat behind anything and that can be just the nails in the coffin. But the coffin was already set up. The artistic value has been destroyed. It's been destroyed because the people that create sat there and co-signed it. They might not knowingly sat there with Diddy, but they sat there at the table. They sat there and they sucked up for some Grammy awards. They sat there and sucked up for all those fake, that you diss and that sort of thing, as opposed to taking a stand. When you don't take a stand, you go for anything, and then you become one of the same. So, you know, they didn't do anything to stop it. So, but what you're supposed to be and what you are two different things. What you want, a half a cookie? Jay Z still speaking. Oh, what you mean by Jay Z? I don't understand that. I understand that. Your Cowboys aren't that good, okay? You're just an average team at best, okay? Okay, how you cut and slice it, you know. And you might be effective next year, but you ain't gonna get much out this year. I don't know anything about Jay Z. I don't understand what that means. It means nothing. What you mean then what? Are you better than the Rams? No. Are you better than Seattle? No. And Philly's still gonna win the division. And you got Chicago got a tiebreaker over you. Carolina got a tiebreaker over you. So what you want? You are what you are. No, they all puppets. They started a fake stream service. They weren't all they did was, I got the Ravens. The Ravens are gonna be the team to beat. That's the next level. And Lamar is gonna be scary. And it's just the playoffs. So but if they lose to Cincinnati, then they won't last long in the playoffs. But if they beat Cincinnati like I think they are, I expect the Ravens to be a handful in the playoffs. Simple as that. Of course, they puppets. They had their fake. Remember, he had his fake music service. How did title go? It went like the Tidy Bowl man. He's not. He's not producing. All I want is the. Then you got to worry about Chicago too. You got too many things that going against you. Okay, too many, too many. Because even if you sweep Washington and the Giants, you still need a lot of other help. And I just don't know if that's going to come to view for you. And you got a big game against Detroit next week. That's huge. So what? What's supposed to do with that? The team is not that good. That's not going. I mean, come back for what? They're not going to make the playoffs. They stink. They can't play no defense. They can't even. I like Joe Burrow, but he's starting to almost get forgettable. He's been hurt a lot. The team is garbage. The line sucks. The coach sucks. And he's almost getting old. You got to think about it. He's, what, 3 years removed from the Super Bowl? Shoot. And, think about it. Another year or two, he'll be a half a decade removed from a Super Bowl. And that's scary. So so I don't look at Joe Burrow as going to be some savior. I just don't. All right. I think I'll be on for about a few more minutes. Definitely another 15, 20. I think it's going to probably pretty good. Got 15 votes. Do you believe Tasha can? I heard about Max B. I believe he got jumped. I do. He's got a target on his back, and he's probably been running his mouth. And I think that he either need to shut up after Irv passed and be cool. I don't know. Somebody watch him though. Heard about it. I don't have one because I don't celebrate it. So you talking to the wrong person, and I don't celebrate them. I had a vegan chicken sandwich. Okay, so that's my dish with some coleslaw. I don't. I used to like sweet potatoes and mash, but I don't hardly eat much of nothing. I don't celebrate holidays. I told you, don't really do the holidays too much of nothing. Um. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I heard some about that. I heard some about that. I heard about him. I didn't hear nothing that I thought was amazing. I think she's just a pole dancer who makes music. I didn't hear anything amazing. She had one song on it that I liked. I think the one where she sampled Janet Jackson. She had another one on it that I liked. There was like two tracks that I thought were decent. Everything else was just mud. I've never heard too many people say amazing album with Cardi B in the same sentence. So maybe the album cover got you delusional. I don't know. I usually don't hear anyone go off about Cardi B. Not just on the music. Right. I'm not a fan of either one of them. They are not really rated by me because they're not a contending team. I'm not really. I think the Knicks. I like Jalen Brunson, Cats, all right, but they need something else. I'm not really taking them serious. I don't really waste my time. I hear things, so let me just say this before I come across like I don't. I listen to stuff. I just don't get excited about a lot of stuff because I think a lot of acts just do a lot of shock and value and don't have no depth. And I heard Cardi B's record, and it was a couple okay tracks, but nothing I would buy, not even with your money. So, and that's the case with a lot of these acts. I wouldn't even waste my time with your money. I would listen to it. I wouldn't buy it though. Mm. I don't hear nothing that's really touching. I listen to different artists for different things, but I'm gonna say this again because people don't like to hear the truth. And somehow, when you black, they really got a problem when you give the old school more love. Uh, please don't insult my intelligence. Please don't insult my intelligence. He's a marginal, homogenized act. Okay, please. Him making a two-album set sounds like somebody's desperate for money and some attention. He didn't even put out a two-album set when he was in his peak in his prime. Now he's trying to put out a two-record set. Please. I don't. Bieber is too light in the cakes for my taste. I know where he was trying to go with that, and I did a video about it. So if you want to see it, I got a video about it. The problem that he says is that he's also downplays blackness, and he always has a way of trying to minimize. Justin Bieber sucks. Okay, stop. He's a homogenized act, third tier act. Ain't much to him. Katy Perry sucks. Okay, stop. She's a marginal singer. Marginal. Marginal. Well, politics does do a trick on your head, but for reals, logic does a trick on your brain. So, no, I don't like what I consider homogenized acts. I don't do nothing with them. No, just the acts that y'all mentioned ain't nothing to write home about. They've been around for a long time, but that don't mean that they necessarily are worthy of still bringing attention to. Katy Perry was a marginal act. Bieber was a marginal act. I know it does because you got too much of a good thing. You know, we got too much technology, we got too much access to stuff, and you don't have to figure out nothing. Sure don't. There was a time when an artist used to be around 20 years and you were impressed with that. Shoot, these turkeys be around 20 years and it's like, doesn't mean the same thing like it used to. Because when I say they're around now, they might pop up on a show and I got some whack song out with some streams and some people still trying to act like, that, oh, this so and so. And I'm like, they're not that good. They're not that good. And they get mad at you because they show a Michael Jackson film set and people lose their mind. Well, it's because they know the difference between a real star and these make believe hokey ones. I just always thought Nicki Minaj was a goofy chick. And now she's trying to do stuff political. And she's just corny. She gets a wake up. I don't pay these artists this politics no mind. That's not your only problem. You got a coach that's learned on the job. Your defense was not set forth right against the run. Um, your receivers, you finally figuring out what to do with your receivers. Your running game is kind of inconsistent. Offensive line's a little janky. Dak's kind of suspect. You're just an average team. And if you look at it carefully and we take your bias out of it, take the base out, the reason why you look at halfway okay now is because it took you half the season to get your thing together. I don't know what you do in the off season. I don't know who you recruit, but it took all this time to kind of like, okay, maybe it's not a good team. I don't think the next generation is going to care about what the industry has to offer musically. And they'll fool around and have an AI singer, you know. Should have long gone. So there was a movie back in the 90s called League of Their Own. Tom Hanks was in the movie. Madonna, Rosie O'Donnell, and Jenny Davis. Jenny, yeah. Anyway, based on true story, it's long overdue. Should have always been there. Should have always been there. There should always be women's equivalent to pro sports, and it should be there. We don't really talk about Ice Spice and artistic bag. That's not what we like. Ice Spice. Sorry, we don't really do. We don't really look at Ice Spice as artistic. Gina Davis was in that movie, yeah. So I watched that a long time ago. And that was based on true stories. So League of Their Own was a women's league and all that. So it's long overdue. I don't pay Ice Spice a lot of attention. She's an OnlyFans, okay? So she for the streets. Because she sucks, that's why. Stop questioning me about when I didn't already laid out why. I'm not gonna claim to be all no be all, but the woman sings off key. She's a marginal musician. All her songs sounded like songs, and there's nothing distinctive about her. And I grew up around real female strong artistries, okay? So miss me with that. Shoot. That's why I get upset when people come at me. I know about Brenda Russell. Do you know about Brenda Russell? Do you know about Roberta Flack? Do you know about please? She's not on that caliber. You know about Aretha Franklin? She's not on that caliber. Do you know about Carole King? She's not on it. I'm not gonna have nobody trolling on here. Yeah, she looks good, but that ain't got to do with her music. And for the record, I still think she's kind of at the YMCA for what I've been told on the low. Best game of the day should probably be Green Bay Detroit. If you like marginal talent, if you like a female version of John Legend, then she's up your alley. But for me, she's one of the worst acts I've ever heard. I haven't heard her be flat. Okay? Please. I ain't got no standards. The woman got at the Super Bowl was cracking like a croaked frog. And then she got on that Broadway stage with Jay-Z and he told her, he said, look, don't come out here sounding flat. Give me a break. Lack of professionalism, lack of authenticity is not that good. Decent eye candy, but she's not that good. I don't like neither one of them. Beyonce's got more talent in her left tonsil. She's okay. Neither one of them show me much of nothing. But look at what you got. It's just okay. Nothing about Alicia Keys is marrying me for like. Yeah. I don't like wasting my time with acts that I think that are homogenized, and Alicia Keys has always been homogenized to me. She part of the Clive Davis machine, and you know, but I don't subscribe to that. So, and so some people ain't gonna like it when you're honest about how you feel, and that's I just don't play go along get along. I don't do that. I don't do it. I've heard that. Yeah, I mean, it's the industry. Alicia came through Clive Davis model, and again, Britney had a movement about her. Britney was a different situation only because there wasn't any pop movement at the time, especially for female. Yeah, okay. Not quite. Not quite. Yes and no. Yes, because there's an influence, but no, because she was her own movement. She really pushed the whole thing with Backstreet and Sync. If you want to be honest, she pushed Timberlake. I've already had this discussion and questions, so please. But if for the 99th time, Gaga got the talent, but Britney had the better career. Okay, that's how I'm gonna say that. So you can work with what you want. Gaga had the talent, but Britney had the better career. Cause if Gaga had the movement that Britney had, she'd be running the game. She'd run the game, and she faded. She faded. Yeah, she does the movie thing and some soundtrack stuff with Tony Bennett stuff, but she faded. Britney had a run for about a good 4 or 5 years. Gaga ain't had that kind of run. Gaga got faded quick. Gaga's run wasn't as long. More talented, but you no. She could sing, but no. Somewhat, but it's just that she had a certain attitude that sold it. That's what it was. She had a certain attitude, and I haven't seen another, you know, none of them, none of them, because I don't think she makes good albums. I think she's a good singles artist. I don't listen to her records and think, oh, this is some fulfillment. Come on, she's a good, smart singles act. It's not. She already did. She came out with a record last year, and it was an '80s pop record, which was very influenced by Prince and Bowie and all that, and no one was feeling it. Okay, yeah, because Adele is just one of those kind of like going through her withdrawals, and she's got the sappy, sappy, tappy, and it's not gonna go nowhere. It's not gonna go nowhere because she's not gonna change her what she does. So it's pretty much, that doesn't mean that she's getting it right though. We haven't talked about Katy Perry in a decade. I know she got the gig on Idol, but no one's tripped on her in ages. No one's going to. That time then came and went. I should have about another 13 more minutes on here, so be on for another 12 more minutes. Just so you know. No one's tripped on her. Mm-mm. God can. I just think that she tried to do too much. She tried to appeal to too many people, and she came out right. I already told you about Gaga. She is the better, more talented version of Madonna, but Madonna had better songs. And that's what it comes down to. Just ain't got no song. The songwriting, the songs just ain't there. The talent's there. She just can't get it together. They got a real good. This might be one of the best questions I've seen posed by you. They got a real good chance. They got a real good chance. It's gonna be tough, but Dave Roberts, and I'm telling you, if anybody could do something, they got a real good chance. Because Shohei, again, stays healthy, focused, motivated. He's on a mission. And when his career is over, he will be one of the 10 greatest Dodgers ever. Well, they wanted her to be like a Junior Whopper Mariah, and I don't know. Again, these acts are cute acts. They've had some moments, but nothing that I would write, and nothing that you could send to the post office and back and say I won. Okay. And what's your discovery? Only thing I told you that Juice Newton was for her day what Taylor Swift was without all the fanfare. And the thing is that the audiences back then didn't give you a 30-year career. You had more competition back then, and it wasn't nothing special. It was decent middle of the road songs. What was I liked him, but everybody knows that he did Purple Rain as Prince's daddy. That pretty much that's the only roles he kept getting, looking all cheeky and creeped out. I didn't say anything about Fantastic. Taylor Swift sucks. I said that's who Juice Newton remind. That's who Taylor Swift remind me of. Middle of the road, milk toasty, Pat Boonish style. Okay, please. They both suck. Just boring, bland music, soulless music, which got fans. People don't even know why they like it. He wasn't in Boys in the Hood. She said Clarence Williams the third. He wasn't in Boys in the Hood. Larry Fishburne, Whitman Mayo, who played Grady, was in. He played the same role he did in Purple Rain. So if you've seen Purple Rain as playing Prince's daddy, where he's all jicky and drunk and smoking and his eyes are burnt, same role. Prince loved him in Mod Squad, and he wanted him, and he got him to be his father, and pretty much. And then he also did the same thing in Sugar Hill with Wesley Snipes, and I can't think of the brother, the actor right now that was in that movie. Same type of role, same type of role. He got typecast after Purple Rain. He just was always jicky and shaky. So when he portrayed Francis Hill in Purple Rain, that's what he got to play the rest of his career. Except for another movie he did. Kind of cat that's got some talent, but never quite. I couldn't quite. He did a lot, a little bit of everything, but I can't see what he did that was so memorable that I would go, you know, funny. But one of those kind of guys that's more like a collaborator to collaborative type of dude, but not on his own devices. His TV career, like he's somebody that has a presence and whatnot, but it's not as memorable. That's all. I like that. I don't know what that means about. I don't know what you're going on about with Beyonce. I don't understand that. You either think she's the best or you don't. I don't know what you mean. I like Dave Allen Greer, but I just don't. It's one of those kind of careers you just kind of like ease around. I don't mind looking at decorations stuff like that, but I just don't get up into all the other stuff. I just don't. I just don't. That's too commercialized, and I think that with everything going on with tariffs and money, it's too sad. Tina Turner, nobody, Beyonce's not better than nobody you gonna mention, so stop. I don't like talking about her. She's one of the most overrated acts I ever heard. And there's nothing you gonna say to sway me. They gave her 30 plus Grammys, and I ain't heard nothing by her that merits more than three. Okay? So no. That's who Beyonce aspires to be. But young Tina had better songs, impact, and a career. Of course they do. Because her nutty butt husband be walking around talking about she did Coachella and Michael Jackson and do that. The stupid stuff that people say. You know, People don't use common sense when they wonder why people still celebrate somebody from 40 years ago. Well, maybe because the person had a record that kind of hit a chord like that. No one sits around talking about Beyonce's records after 40 months, let alone, and we're going to talk about no 40 years. I don't hear a lot of people rocking down the street playing Crazy in Love. Just saying, or Lemonade, I don't get that kind of buzz. Even musicians who play with her in the band, they give her work for her work ethics. Probably for me, Stanley Turrentine, but that's a good debate though. And I do like Freddie Hubbard. Okay, I'm gonna get out in about 3 more minutes because I've been on like an hour and a half almost. So 3 more minutes. I don't pay ignorant jive turkeys no mind. They say stuff because they think that people will follow, believe it. They know good and well that A, you can't compare eras, B, it's a different standard, and of course with everything going on. And C, um, they know in their heart of hearts that they ain't the best that's done it. But it's fashionable to be black and diss black artistry, black athletes, black politics. It's fashionable to diss the past. It really is. He's not. He's just been around a long time and he sold some records, but you know, he's not. Because I don't know what your criteria is. If your criteria is for crossover, he ain't the most crossover. Your ideas for more socially conscious, he ain't that. And for lyrical, he ain't that. So I don't like neither one of them. I think musically J and I think artistically M. I think that's how I would say it. I think M's a better rapper, but I think J's got better music. And if you mix the two together, that's kind of the problem where you sit. But I don't like to use them as a gauge because I think they don't move me. If I had to pick, I probably lean a little bit to Phyllis Hyman, but Angela Bofield was bad though. But it's close. It's close. It's close. Now that's a battle. I think I've talked about them before. Excuse me. I think I've talked about them before. You know how to love me. That's a no brainer. I like Stephanie Mills, but that's not the song I would put up against Def Hyman came up with a classic. I like it, but the Monsters for Me and You did ask me before. I used to watch both, but I like the Monsters better. I like that. That's not my favorite Stephanie Mills song, but I like it. But it's not touching Phyllis Hyman in that one. Um, per se TV show. I'm gonna give it a call of the day too, because I've been on here for like an hour and a half. I think I'm gonna pretty much roll it. I'm gonna watch some of these games or catch on something. But despite everything, disagreements and so on, I did enjoy the majority of the conversation. I didn't like the trolls that were on here. They were problematic. I guess turkeys ain't got nothing to do. Back in the day, there's a few that come to mind. I loved Kamala, Ric Flair, Junkyard Dog. Prior Flare was the last one. I don't know. But anyway, I'm gonna get ready to call it a day. And I will be back on Sunday. Uh Probably try to come on for like an hour or so on Sunday. See what we can do. I got to ask who I liked. I didn't say about anybody else. I just went by the wrestlers I like. Most of my favorite wrestlers from way back in the day, though. So, but anyway, appreciate everybody. Stay safe, stay blessed, stay woke, stay free. Until I catch you next time. Peace.